I'm Jomary Hilliard Bolles, and my fellowship project is called Just One More.
And will you tell us in 2 seconds what your project is about?
It's about building community and connection through sharing our resources.
Wonderful. What is important to you about this project?
So I'm excited about this project because it speaks to something that's been on my heart maybe my whole life. And to me, it seems infinitely scalable and potentially viral. And so it can be done at any level by anyone, anywhere, anytime.
Yeah.
That's exciting to me.
Yeah. Can you tell me, Jomary, what sparked your interest to start this fellowship right now at this time?
Um, well, I had a different project when I started out as a Changemaker Fellow, and my project was basically end poverty in Mountain View. Um,
I remember that.
but what it turned into was take people to lunch, activists and political people and other change makers, not from the church, not Changemaker Fellows, but change makers, take them to lunch and talk to them about some principles I had learned from a group in Canada that has been successful in drastically reducing poverty there and how those could be applied in Mountain View. That taking people to lunch kind of came to an end with COVID.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I realized that this is something I'd been carrying in my heart for a long time.
Thank you. That's beautiful. What is important to you about being a change maker?
I love the idea of being a change maker because I think we were all created to be change makers, and that just thinking of ourselves as change makers kind of opens up opens us up to opportunities to be change makers.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. Can you point to a transformation or shift that you've personally experienced as a Changemaker Fellow?
wow, can you tell me more about what you mean by transformation or
Yeah, like some kind of shift internally or some kind of impact that it made on your in sort of your heart and your mind and your spirit.
so I'll tell you what got me started with Just One More, and maybe that. So I have three adult sons, and we've lived in our little house in this valley for 47 years. Um, and as my children were growing up, and I was able to do whatever I was able to do. And it was, it was always a stretch. It was always a stretch to do travel soccer or speech therapy or braces.
Yeah.
Um, but I, from the experience of having it be a stretch, I always thought, well, I could do just one more.
Mhm.
And there are people that absolutely don't have the ability to have braces or speech therapy or travel soccer.
Mhm.
And so I've always thought about that, and I've always tried to do that in little ways. Um, every from, but I want to tell a little story if I have time. And that is that one day I was with my sister, and my sister is one of my favorite people in the world. She's kind of my prophet. And we were at a market in San Francisco, and there was an elderly man with a cane who was trying to pay for his groceries with his Social Security check. And my sister just handed her card to the cashier. And, we hear those stories all the time, but I thought sharing those stories makes us all aware, and it touches our hearts, and it gives us a sense of where we may be called to do the same thing, and empowers us to do it at whatever level.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful story. As you're looking at 2021, of course, we don't know. There's so many uncertainties still. But as we're looking at 2021, what do you think is your road ahead as a change maker?
So I am actually launching right now a Facebook page for Just One More. And in the beginning, I'm just going to tell stories and encourage other people to tell their stories, and then see what God turns it into.
Oh, I love that so much. Um, do you have a word of advice or inspiration for others who are pondering their change-making role in their life or in their community?
I don't think I could presume to give advice, but I think that for me, so there's so much going on in the world right now, and there's so much to despair about, and there's so much for some of us who, for just the fact that I've lived in this valley for 47 years means I can afford to live in this valley. That's the only reason.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Somebody who came who was exactly in exactly the same situation that I was then can't now.
yeah,
And I can feel guilty about that, or I can think about what I can do. And I think the small things add up.
yeah, yeah.
So,
That's beautiful. And then the last question that I have is, how is your change-making way of being? So you as a change maker, how is that connected to your faith?
wow. I mean, it's, it's, how is change making connected to my faith? Um, you said it when you contacted me and said Jesus was a change maker. And Jesus just saw a need in front of him and responded.
Mhm.
And whatever else we think of in our faith journey, I think that can be at the core of it. Just what do we see
Yeah,
in front of us that we could respond to? You know, even I've always said that for years when I was too busy to do most anything else, I decided to develop a spiritual discipline of not being in a hurry when I was in line.
mhm,
And so what would often happen is there'd be somebody in front of me who is uh, in the grocery store, and they would be having trouble with their charge card, or they would be looking for quarters and nickels and dimes in their purse, and then invariably they or the cashier would apologize to me, and I would say, that's okay, I'm making a spiritual discipline not to be in a hurry.
I love that so much.
And the responses that I would get, and that took it took a little bit of discipline, and maybe it took 5 minutes
Yeah,
sometimes, but it took nothing away from me.
yeah,
And instead it fed me,
yeah, yeah.
because people's reactions were always like, oh,
Yeah, it really makes me think about what you're saying in terms of change making, and when you're saying it's a spiritual practice to be patient, and seeing the results of this change making work and having the faith that whatever you're doing, it's planting seeds, and it's going to take some time, a little bit, sometimes a little bit of time, sometimes a lot more time to actually see the seeds full blown in big forests, right? And the
right.
spiritual practice of continuing to do the work and then having the patience to see.
And I
Um,
love that
yeah,
idea of planting seeds.
yeah, yeah, that's beautiful.
Never know what will happen.
Yeah,
We just plant the seeds.
thank you. Well, it's beautiful. It's wonderful to talk to you. I'm so glad we connected. And I really hope that the people in the church be able to tell all of your story, And thank you so much. I don't know when this is airing out, but I think we're going to aim for the last Sunday of the month.